This was a crazy week for AMD. We saw various price target hikes, some as crazy as over $300 within the next 12 months. We also saw some amazing partnerships and some crazy sales of the MI450. We also have a lot of updates on that and so much more. So let's take a closer look in today's episode. All right, so welcome to another AMD Weekly. I think this is AMD Weekly episode 6, where every Saturday or Sunday I take a closer look at everything impacting the overall stock in the past 7 days. I'm hoping you guys are enjoying this content. Let me know in the comments below. But first, what I want to start off is looking at this company's forward PE ratio. And all the charts we're going to look at today are thanks to Fiscal.ai. This is a platform I use on a daily basis. It's great for charts, great for transcripts, great for anything that I need as a long-term investor. And if you use my promotional offer at Fiscal.ai/Jose, you get 15% off. Now, looking at this forward PE ratio right now sitting at 46.21, this seems extremely expensive to its median of roughly 32.64. And some people might look at this and say, Jose, this means this stock is extremely crazy, expensive. And normally I would agree. But I do believe one of the reasons it looks extremely expensive is because we haven't had all analysts increase their price targets just yet. Remember, these four PE ratios are based on analyst expectations within the next 12 months. And right now, within the next 12 months, through this chart, we can see three things. We can see the upper range, the lower range, and the overall consensus. So the upper range is definitely a lot wider, but we can see that the overall consensus is closer to kind of the lower range. The main reason I would say is a lot of these analysts have not increased the price target of AMD, making the consensus a little bit too low. So I think right now the market is underestimating AMD's potential revenue for the next 12 months. So once we get the actual numbers, I do believe it's going to be much lower than this estimated number. So those are just my overall thoughts with the current partnerships that we've seen with AMD, the one that we saw with OpenAI last week. And today we're going to talk about one with Oracle. I believe AMD has the opportunity, not the guaranteed, but a very high opportunity to be a $1 trillion company within the next 5 years. All right, next, I want to take a closer look at TSMC. The company just reported earnings. And for those that are not familiar, TSMC is the one that manufactures mostly all chips for AMD, including the MI300s, the MI350s, and more, the MI400s that are coming out later next year. Now, during the earnings, TSMC management said the following. When talking about the AI demand actually continues to be very strong. It's more strong than what we thought 3 months ago. In today's situation, we've talked to customers and we've talked to customers. The compounded annual growth rate we previously announced is about the mid 40%, but it's still a little bit better than that. We will update you probably in the beginning of next year. We have a more clear picture. Today, the numbers are incentive. So overall, AI demand continues to grow better than 3 months ago. And this is from a player, TSMC. One of the things that I really do enjoy from TSMC's management is, I don't know if it's a cultural thing or just pure leadership, but they tell it how it is. If it's bearish, they tell you if it's bearish. If it's bullish, they tell you it's bullish. And right now, it seems extremely bullish. Now, what I want to do next is I want to take a closer look at Wall Street analysts that recently increased AMD's stock price. And we actually saw six. So six major banks updated AMD's coverage in the past this past week. The primary driver was two main deals, OpenAI's deal and Oracle's deal. Well, I'll talk a little bit about Oracle's deal, but I'll mention here a bit. Regardless, within these six analysts, revenue projections boosted around 40 to 50% above prior consensus for 2026 and 2027. Average price target increase a staggering 44% across the board, and new 52-week high target. The highest price target reached was $310. The mentioned two main reasons: OpenAI partnership. We talked about this last week, I think, the 6 gigawatt GPU deployment commitment worth an estimated 80 to 90 billion dollars based on these analysts through 2030. The Oracle deal, which is a separate 50,000 chip deployment beginning in 2026 to power Oracle's cloud infrastructure. Overall, these two deals provide a nice speculation, providing a credible path to $9 to $11 earnings per share by 2027, roughly triple the values expected to make in 2025. Now, before we go any further, guys, I really would appreciate the following. If you haven't, make sure to hit the thumbs up and the subscribe button. We're trying to hit 85,000 subs by the end of the year. If you want a free AI chip newsletter, check out whatthechiphappened.com. I know, amazing name. I do also have special offers for you, the viewers, fool.com/Jose, fiscal.ai/Jose for 15% off the charts that I was just showing. And I also do have a great introduction offer with Mumu. The link is in the pinned comment to learn more. Now let's look at these overall price target. So Mizuho Securities, and I always butchered this name, so I most likely did it again. Let me know in the comments below. They increased the price target from 205 to 275. The main reason is just the OpenAI deal is about a $14 billion incremental revenue by fiscal 2027. Earnings per share to double to $11 by fiscal 2027 to 2028. An OpenAI deal provides substantial institution validation. If OpenAI is willing to work with this massive level of AMD GPUs, why wouldn't anybody else? Now, the key risk flags, the first things they mentioned to watch, and I believe this is true, potential gross margin dilution, about 300 basis points from them giving shares to OpenAI. Second is AMD's software ecosystem currently lags, even though it is improving, it currently lags NVIDIA's CUDA platform. We also had Deutsche Bank. They increased from $200 to $230, still rating it as a whole. Much of the AI upside was already priced in to their valuation. The positives: Epic server CPU demand, improved visibility in the order book, reliable cadence of product generations. The risk they identify: HBM availability, advanced packaging bottlenecks, NVIDIA software dominance, and hyperscalers capital expenditure lump risk. In my opinion, I don't think any of these risks, especially with constraints in HBM or advanced packaging, should be as a major reason to put a hold. AMD is working really well with its partners, with the supply chain, and I think they will be able to get the stuff that they need or close to it. Wolf Research increased to $300. This is crazy. The main reason, they identify a conservative path to $10 plus earnings power by calendar year of 2027. They project roughly $27 billion in total AI related sales by 2027, $15 billion of that from OpenAI's partnership alone. Wedbush increased from 190 to 270. The Oracle and OpenAI partnership deliver the greater confidence in AI demand certainty. Revised forecast, fiscal year 2027 earnings per share of $9 and 2027 AI data center revenue of roughly $20 billion. Now, HSBC, this was the biggest of them all. Price target from 185 to 300, yes, $310. They believe the market significantly underestimates AMD's AI GPU revenue potential. 2026 AI GPU revenue estimates are 50% above consensus. 2027 estimates are 45% above consensus. They do note that AMD has increased its CoWoS allocations to 70 to 80,000 wafers for 2026 to support manufacturing scale. The final one we saw was Bank of America. They mentioned that Helios is real. They increased from $250 to $300. The key catalyst was AMD showcasing its MI450 rack scale platform as a functioning system, not just that concept at 2025 OCP Summit. We're actually going to look at that in a bit. But right now, conservatively assumes only 50% of OpenAI's deal will materialize in its base case. So there's still much room for its bullish case, right? Only 50% of the OpenAI deal is expected to go on their assumptions, which I think is pretty impressive. Even at 50%, it projects 9.7 billion in incremental 2027 sales. In a full deployment, AMD could reach 7.5% AI accelerator market share, up from 3 to 4%. You saw some massive bullish case here. Again, you guys are enjoying the content, make sure to hit the thumbs up and the subscribe button. Now, we're going to look at some of deals that are happening or some recent announcement AMD announced. And this is probably one of my favorites. Oracle and AMD expand their partnership to help customers achieve next generation AI cloud. The main thing here is Oracle has been a big purchaser and partner of AMD. They bought the MI300s, they bought the MI350s. Now they mentioned that they are going to start with an initial deployment of 50,000 GPUs in calendar quarter three of 2026 and expanding in 2027 and beyond. That is insane. The great thing about AMD's Helios rack design is it's a rack system. So AMD makes a lot of money. They're not just selling GPUs, they're selling CPUs, they're selling Pensando networking solutions. And this alone helps increase their revenue per segment. And they could be a very nice additive revenue growth. Now, the other thing that we saw is this happened on Saturday after I released my episode last week. So it's a little bit late, but I still think it's important. Semi Analysis, a semiconductor group that I personally respect and follow a lot, introduced Inference Max, which is benchmarking progress in real time. They showcase some great use cases as that AMD is improving. They even showed certain solutions where AMD is actually better than NVIDIA. Not many, but there are some. It also shows that AMD's MI355 is competitive to certain solutions of NVIDIA's B200. Now, unfortunately for AMD investors, one of the big things is NVIDIA has the NVL72. That's where NVIDIA dominates. But not everybody needs these massive large-scale inference. Some people might just need a few GPUs here and there. And AMD, for those use cases, seems to be somewhat competitive, and that is very, very bullish. The other thing is they're making massive, massive improvements in their overall software solution. And with this, we can see that there was a image here that Semi-Analysis saw the Inference Max, the MI355. The red was something when they launched in October 9th. The blue is launched in October 14th. You can see improvements that happened just in the past 7 days because AMD is making sure their software improvements continue to grow at rapid levels. And that's really, really good news. The other thing is Dylan Patel. He mentioned the following. So he was talking, making fun of people, but he mentioned that their accelerator model clients had 2027 MI450 sales at 27 billion 3 months ago. Number is different now, of course. So this is very bullish. So we know that Dylan Patel on the baseline for 2027 has $27 billion on just MI450. And 3 months ago, now things are getting even bigger and bigger. That to me is crazy. That's a lot of potential for AMD in revenue coming in 2027. So I am getting very, very excited about the stock. Now, some other news. AMD kind of showcases that in certain models, the Kimi K2, the MI355 is actually a better model than, it's better than the B200 using certain solutions. Again, we're only looking at low amount of GPUs here, but that's still crucial, right? Because not everybody needs those massive, massive systems. So there is that market opportunity growth here for AMD's MI355. And again, I'm personally super excited for the MI450. Now, staying here, AMD also released an update to their AI software for the Ryzen, which is their consumer CPU that is packed for features of building AI applications on AMD's platform. Nothing crazy to drive the stock price here, in my opinion, but it just showcases AMD continue to innovate in its software space. The other thing is AMD kind of showcases that their Ryzen AI Max processor, which is kind of the new CPU that is being used in laptops, is the first and only Windows AI PC processor capable of running large language models up to 235 billion parameters in size locally. It just showcases that AMD could be a really great player on AI to the edge, where you don't need an expensive discrete GPU. You can be doing all certain things within your consumer CPU. Now, they also released a blog on October 17th about AI in data centers and just the efficiency and sustainability of things. Um, Nothing crazy here. There were just two things that really caught my attention. First, they mentioned the data centers already consume nearly 2% of global electricity, and AI adoption is set to accelerate that figure dramatically. The second thing is cooling is often responsible for up to 40% of facilities' total power consumption. This is crazy. So, if we start to see innovations in the cooling space, this can help reduce the total power in a rack, which we are in a power constrained market. If you can reduce cooling dramatically or the power needed for cooling, you will be able to free up a lot more power to put on GPUs. So, there's many ways to improve the power constraint issue. The first thing is reducing the power usage on certain things, or obviously increasing power. But this helps me believe that even though we're power constrained, there's ways around that in the future. Now, AMD also was at an OCP, which is an open compute platform conference. Shows a lot of information. I'm currently still watching the videos. It's more technical, but AMD showcase there. First is they talk about how they're working on open source solutions like Ultra E Accelerator Link. This is UAL. For those that are not familiar, this is what's going to compete against NVIDIA's NVLink. They also have Ultra Ethernet, which is going to compete with NVIDIA's Ethernet solutions. I forget right now the InfiniBand and Spectrum, I think, are the two that I'm blanking out here. But AMD is using the open source solutions to compete against a lot of the NVIDIA solutions. More importantly, a lot of these are going to be used in the Helios rack. This is the Helios rack, the AMD's MI450, showcased here. Just because it was showcased, this is what some of the analysts really like. It's being showcased, shows that it's not just a concept, it's product ready. Right, this is product ready, and it's very much thanks to that CT system acquisition. Now, talking about Helios rack, AMD kind of showcase. Again, I've talked about this in the past, where the great thing about this is you're selling GPUs, you're selling CPUs, you're selling AMD's Pensando NICs, and so much more. So this is a major step for AMD going forward. Now, the great thing about this is an open compute project, and it's open source. It was actually it was based on open rack wide specifications. And that's why if you look at it, it's a lot wider than your typical servers that we see right now. And this was introduced by Meta. So Helios extends the AMD open hardware philosophy from silicon to system to rack, representing a major step forward in open interoperable AI infrastructure. The rack features quick disconnect liquid cooling for sustained thermal performance, a double wide layout for improved serviceability, and standards-based Ethernet for multi-path resiliency. As a reference design, Helios enables OEMs, ODMs, and hyperscalers to adopt, extend, and customize open AI systems quickly, reducing deployment times, improving the ability, and supporting efficiency scaling for AI and high performance computing workloads. So I thought that was also very bullish to kind of show their rights is in this open standards, and many people can just develop on top of that. I only have two more things, but I hope you guys really much enjoyed the episode. I really much enjoyed collecting all this information. And again, if you want to help out the channel, thumbs up, subscribe, and check out the special offers, fiscal.ai/Jose, 50% off, or kind of the Mumu introductions that I have below. Now, AMD is expected to report earnings this month. Can't believe we're already in earnings season. But outside of that, we also have conferences that AMD investors should know. Dr. Lisa is going to be on December 3rd, 2025 at a global technology and AI conference. And then the CFO will be on December 10th at Barclays. The final thing that is not AMD related, but I think we can bring it back to AMD On Friday, NVIDIA and TSMC celebrated Blackwell wafers produced in the United States. I'm pretty sure we're going to hear pretty soon of AMD's MI400, 400 series, and some of their CPUs, which we already know are being made here in the US. But it's not NVIDIA the only one doing that. AMD is also working with TSMC to produce in the United States as well for some of their advanced chips. So, don't want to take the light off from NVIDIA here, but I'm going to say AMD is working with the team as well. So I hope you guys enjoy the stock, the episode. I am very much bullish in the stock. For me, though, right now, it is more of a dollar cost average opposed to loading the boat. Regardless, I think AMD in the long term of things, in the next few years, has a map laid out. Not a guarantee, but a map layout to hit $1 trillion company. That's still a three-bagger from here. And this is coming from someone who's bullish on AMD and it's been bullish for a very long time. This is already a multi-bagger for me. But again, the market gives us opportunity. So I wouldn't rush. I personally wouldn't rush all at once. That's why I enjoy the dollar cost average opportunity for me for AMD. So take care, have a good day, and see you all next time.